Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a very exciting episode of Geek Boots Military Nerds because
Woo!
today it is just Single Dad and I.
What up?
This episode will be tentatively titled Between Two Beards. It's too bad we don't have Zach Galifianakis on because then it would be even perfect because, between two ferns. Um, we are drinking on tonight's episode, and
Adult Beverage Club.
much like the big green weenie and how it likes to continue to fuck us, I decided I wanted to drink because I had a rough day and I realized I don't have any alcohol. So I'm just going to wave this amazing Lucky Shot mug that I bought in my time in Las Vegas
Very
with
nice.
Battlefield Vegas and just kind of stare at it and wish it had something in it. I don't even have Dr. Pepper to make it look like there's alcohol in it, so I'm really sad. But today's episode is part 2 of cosplay questions. Not a lot of people
We're
responded.
gonna have some fun with this.
Yeah, we're gonna have some fun. There's some interesting questions that I sat there and I thought to myself, what would be interesting to touch base on? And the first question that really is burning, is Marvel versus DC in cosplay. And to clarify, it's the people going at each other and our thought process on it. I guess I'll take it away and I'll simply say I love both Marvel and DC, so I'm not really a part of the whole war between the two. I totally understand that DC's movies have not been great and that Marvel has obviously created something fantastic, and that's fine. But like any fandom, you shouldn't hate and what is it? Fandom shame, I guess
Yeah.
is what I'll call it. With somebody who just likes DC Comics, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's my sense. I'm throwing it off to you now.
All right. To try and break this down, I mean, you can't just break it down to one simple Marvel versus DC.
Yeah.
Because if you take Marvel Comics versus DC Comics, people are going to have their opinions. If you take Marvel movies versus DC movies, again, people are going to have their take on it. And then if you take animated series, Marvel versus DC, holy crap, that's just a whole nother thing. So, but here's my take on it. We cosplay. Why? Because it's fun. We love the characters. We love to be part of the fandom and everything like that. I will say a lot of us coming into this is culture. We're geeks. We're nerds. In high school, we may have gotten made fun of for doing what we love and loving what we do, for being those kids that collected comic books and played with GI Joes and everything like that. So now, why are we perpetuating that hatred amongst each other? It's not a competition.
Well,
just go out, have fun with it.
exactly.
There doesn't have to be Marvel versus DC. There doesn't have to be anything. And just as long as we all agree that furries are weird, we're good to go.
I can't wait till a certain Marine we know, decides to dress up as a furry.
Oh my! It's gonna be a purple one.
It's gonna be a purple one. Yep, that'll be fucking great. No, and God, I lost my train of thought.
Marvel versus DC.
I know.
Getting picked on.
Getting picked on. Oh, there it is. Speaking of, I think it's fucking hilarious. You get it in the adult world too so much because on my last drill with the United States Army Washington National Guard, I decided to show up to the Christmas thing with my Deadpool mask because
Nice.
because the adults needed something too. It's like the Christmas thing was always for kids, and there was only ever like a handful of them. I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna show up with Deadpool and give the adults something to laugh at. And so I put the mask on during the briefing for the whole thing, and the soldier in front of me and her mom, they're looking at me funny, and the soldier asks, "What are you doing?" And I go, "Wearing a Deadpool mask." She goes, "Why?" And I'm like, "Why not?" And the mom goes, "Actually, I mean, he's got a point. I mean, why not?" Like, let's be honest.
Seriously.
Here. Yeah. So being picked on, it happens. But
if you're having fun and what you do for fun isn't hurting anybody else,
yeah,
go for it.
yeah, exactly.
That is my one stipulation that I have to put on everything, as long as it isn't hurting somebody else.
Exactly.
So
And not only in cosplay, in terms of the movies, if you're sitting there and you're saying fuck DC or fuck Marvel, this one's better or that's better, and you mean it, like you're doing it out of hate, please stop.
yeah,
Do you, yeah, in fact, do yourself a favor. I'm gonna do it. Just say this: do yourself a favor and stop watching the movies, because you're not doing the fandoms. You're not doing anyone any favors.
do us a favor and stop watching the movies.
Yeah, seriously.
We don't need that. We don't need that kind of negativity.
We don't need that
We're still enjoying them.
negativity. And I gotta admit, we didn't fight for your freedoms to be an asshole. I mean, we kind of did, but
We did.
still, yeah. I'll backtrack on that. Oh, okay. Cosplay as an escape, living your life and finding a way to live again. So, I watched, to shout out to Black Rifle Coffee, a video for Logan Stark, who is a Marine Special Forces sniper. And when he got done, he found it very hard when he went to college and did classes, um, to live again, because he went from getting shot at or nearly blown up every 5 minutes to all of a sudden being in a classroom and it's fucking dead quiet, nothing's happening. So he needed to take a break and go out and find a way to live again. And I would say, for me personally, I 100% think that cosplay and Comic Con and conventions as a whole was my way of doing that. Like, I fucking really enjoyed when in Seattle, it's a different experience when you're walking up and down the street of a very, and sorry to drop politics into this, but a very liberal city, uh, that doesn't like the military. To walk up and down the streets in uniform and obviously get glares or get looks at, and then you show up in cosplay at a convention, and all of a sudden no one's looking at you. The only time you're ever looked at is when someone says, "Hey, nice cosplay, can I get your photo?" It's a
Yeah.
very enriching experience, and it did help me live again. um, and for the most part, cosplay to a certain extent has helped me be- integrate back into a normal life. I think this podcast as a whole is actually helping more than anything it ever has. But
Getting out
yes,
and talking is a big step.
yes, exactly.
So
Your turn, good sir.
yeah. Um. So as for cosplay as what, an escape or a way to deal and everything like that. Um, I've known a lot of cosplayers that that enjoy cosplaying, and there's two ends to this spectrum, as there are with everything. Uh, and I totally enjoy the people that go and use it as a break from their normal life, a little bit of escapism, as you have done, as a way to boost their own confidence in themselves, whether it be through the creation of the costume or just putting it on and going out and walking around. But at the same time, I've seen the flip side and I've seen the darker side, where it's people have gotten so far into it that not they become the character, but they get lost in the cosplay world and they use it for seeking attention.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the negative. That's kind of a bad part of the cosplay community, is you do have these attention seekers that do it specifically just, hey, look at me, because whatever they've got going on in their life, albeit there may be people that use it as an escape from a shitty life, but
Yeah.
but there are those that take advantage
Yeah.
of cosplay fans and photographers and everything like that,
It's
just for the sole fact of trying to get attention.
exactly, and it's the distinct difference, say, with in terms of cosplay, um, charities or events for movies. Like, you're being asked because your cosplay is nice, and the a movie theater recognizes your page and they reach out to you and say, "Hey, how would you like to have a free seat?" All you got to do is show up dressed up.
Yeah.
Um, there's a huge difference when you want to do it because you want to give the fans a really good experience and enjoy the movie, and the first thing that comes out of your mouth is, "Cool, how many photographers are going to be there?"
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I have
Yeah.
experienced this. It is not cool. Just a little heads up and FYI, I am trying to for our listeners, I'm trying to work on going into charities, um, military charities, because I truly feel like there's a lot of cosplayers already doing stuff for people with disabilities and people with isn't illnesses, and that's fine. But I'm not looking to be a dime a dozen. It's not so much that, it's more of a, you already got like 1,000 Captain Americas out there doing it. You don't need me. And I don't see a lot of cosplayers doing stuff for the military, so I would like to do stuff for the military. And I know the families will appreciate it, and I know too many, guys in the military are like, "Oh my god, fucking Captain America's here. This is fucking cool. Let me get a photo with this guy," you know?
Hmm.
But aside from giving this announcement, I'm trying to just kind of keep it hush hush, and I don't care if there's a lot of photographers, because again, it's the experience. It's
Right.
the, like I've envisioned. I think it would be really amazing if I get to that level where they are able to send me to certain locations where we got soldiers overseas who've been wounded in battle, and you get to go there and visit these troops who are missing limbs, been shot at, and are recovering, and I show up as Captain America to kind of give them, boost their spirits up. I don't
Yeah.
want but I don't want cameras. I just want to do it because it gives these people some joy. And
Right.
that's another thing to add on to the whole thing, is just causing attention, is just like, do it because you love it, not for, you know, doing it for the gram, doing it to become famous. It's just like, good luck. The biggest
Yeah.
reason why most of these cosplayers that are famous is because they got into it before Facebook was big, before Instagram was big,
Yeah.
before YouTube was big. Like, so yeah, I
Yeah.
couldn't agree more. All right. Uh, oh yeah. What's better, coming home from the military or going to a con and meeting celebrities? Whew. That is a tough question to answer, because even though I
No,
gave
it's
it to
not.
myself,
No, it's not. When you haven't seen your kids in 6 months to
yeah,
a year,
yeah,
and you're getting home and you're getting this giant hug, and a little one,
hmm,
that barely recognizes you, runs up to you, grabs onto your leg, and says, "Daddy,
yeah,
Daddy's home." Yeah, no, I did.
yeah.
Sorry, fuck Aquaman.
I yeah,
I'm
like
sorry.
I I loved my experience meeting Jeffrey Dean Morgan twice, especially the first time around. He showed me a lot of respect. And because I asked him if we could do our individual martial arts, is because I do kung fu, well, I used to, and he does, what he does, and so he took the time after I did it, shook my hand, and said, "It was a pleasure meeting you." I'm like, holy fuck, because I
Yeah,
didn't see him do that to the first three people ahead of me, and I certainly didn't see him do it to the person behind me. So I'm like, dude, he showed me respect. That's what's up.
yeah,
And that does it brings a level of joy, especially when it's something that you grew up with. But I have to admit, yeah, I agree too. There is nothing like
yeah,
knowing you're getting on a plane and going home and then
yeah.
touching down. So I was stationed in Korea for a year, and I swear I wanted to try, because the song I was blasting on loop on repeat one for the entire day was "Coming Home" by P Diddy and Skylar Grey.
Yeah.
I'm coming home, tell the world. Like, I was just
I
like,
always
oh
did
my
Ozzy
god.
Osbourne, "Mama, I'm Coming Home."
Oh yeah, that one too. Or who can forget the classic Motley Crue "Home Sweet Home"?
Yes.
Fuck, man. Like, there's so many good
Yeah.
songs to blast. But yeah, getting on that airplane And for me, it was kind of a struggle because my plane ended up needing some maintenance. So we stopped in Japan for 2 days.
Ah,
Wasn't able to get off post, but it was cool when I woke up to snow falling off of the roof where I was sleeping because
wait, you had a 90s Spanglish rapper falling off the roof?
yes.
Was he singing Informer at the time?
No, he
That
died
would be
on
awesome.
impact. No, I'm just kidding. um, no, the fighter jets were doing practices, and I come out and I talk to them about it, and they're like, "Yeah, that's their PT in the morning." As they go out, and they fucking fly their jets. So I'm like, oh, "That's fucking cool." They're
Oh,
like,
nice.
I looked up and I could fucking see it. Like it must have only been 200 feet in the air,
Oh man,
flying around base, and like, oh, that's cool.
nice.
But it was scary and it was heart wrenching because there was no Wi-Fi for me to access. So we were all relying on a knock on the door to a locked barracks door to wake us up to say the plane is ready for us now. So I'm like, I don't want to fucking miss my flight. So like finally get on the plane, they say we're ready to go. We get on and we fly out, and the one thing I do remember is when we started taking off, everybody lifted their hands up and started clapping. And then finally landing, getting in through, and my parents gonna start. Hold on, I need to make sure I don't cry. Parents are there. Girlfriend at the time was there. Everyone wanted to hug me, get photos with me. Oh my God, Morgan's home. And then of course the nail in it was getting home to the two dogs that fucking went ape shit because I was home. Um, Tucker, of
Yeah.
course, wanted to play. He's like, no, no, come on, you're home. Let's go outside and play because I want to play with you. Fancy, who had hip issues, she couldn't get up the steps, and they're like, she's been having issues. She just chills out downstairs until we're ready to pick her up and bring her up. I'm like, oh, that sucks. About 2 minutes later, all of a sudden she forces herself up the 2 flights of steps
Oh,
and fucking gets her face right into my legs and says, "I missed you," because
oh, that is the
yeah,
best.
yeah. So, yep, I will tell the listeners now. Honestly, coming home from deployment, seeing your family that you haven't seen in for a year or more is the greatest experience.
It's yeah.
Yeah, it's
It's totally one thing to stand in line for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, pay 40, 50, 60 bucks for a photo op of somebody that you've seen on TV or you've seen in a movie, somebody that you look up to and everything like that.
mhm.
Totally different experience when instead of paying 40, 50, 60 bucks, you've paid with time. Missed
Yep.
birthdays, missed holidays, Christmas, Thanksgiving, New Year's, uh, you name Easter's, you name it. Yeah, that's shit you can't get back. So getting home and being able to and give your family a hug and tell them, say hi, and let them know that you're okay. And guess what? Daddy's home or mommy's home, and whoever the
Yeah,
case may be. So
exactly. Oh yeah.
got to represent the females because they're not here tonight.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So does that mean we should shake our pectorals?
No, I am not Terry Crews.
Flabbiness. How do you feel about the military uniform being used for cosplay? I think this was stated earlier on
Yeah,
that we've touched base on this, and just to kind of drive it home, being in the military is like being anywhere else. Just because we all wear the same uniform and we all march to the same beat doesn't always mean our opinions are always going to match up 100%. There are some who probably don't give a flying fuck. There are others who see that and they'll probably see red. And then there's going to be people like myself who, when I see it, I'm biting my tongue and I'm not doing anything about it, but boy, you're pissing me off.
so you're
So
seeing red.
yeah, I'm seeing red. I'm just not doing anything about it. I'm not like those guys who are on the Stolen Valor YouTube videos who fucking
Yeah,
like the guy who tracked down the guy just outside of Fort Bragg and he's walking through the middle of the street without a fuck to give, chasing this guy, going, "You take that uniform off," and he's forcing the guy to strip out of his
Oh.
clothes in the middle of the street because he's fake,
Yeah.
stolen valor, and he's begging for money. So of course there's that difference, but
Yeah.
I mean I don't
Okay.
know.
That's one thing for using it for personal profit, for personal gain and everything like that. Now, if they're cosplaying a character and the character's in a type of uniform,
Mhm.
go for it.
Yeah, exactly.
There's one cosplayer that I absolutely I respect, adore, and love this cosplayer, and obviously we are not in space, so the colonial marines do not exist, but she does a fucking spot on Vasquez.
Oh,
And
nice.
I put her up in my stories the other day just because I was like, this is like one of my favorite cosplays of all time. And I love it. So obviously, if you've got a military, if you've got somebody that's in the military, like in the movies and stuff like that. So, oh, was that for me? Thanks for blowing me a kiss there, bud.
It was sign language for thank you, but yes, sure.
So, so if you've got somebody that's going to be a Hulk cosplayer, and then you've got and you've got the general there, General Ross,
Yeah.
and Thunderbolt,
Yeah. Thunderbolt Ross, yeah.
dude, he's going to be in uniform, unless
Mhm.
he's going to be the Red Hulk.
Which and another thing, another tip to those of the cosplayers out there in the world that either are not strict on trying to follow it to the T, keep in mind it's actually against the law to represent the military in the movie. So they actually forcibly make inaccuracies in the
In the
uniform.
yes,
So again, in that regard, you're totally fine.
yeah. But if somebody's going out and you see it, okay. So Halloween's coming up, and it's August 1st, so I can officially start talking about Halloween and be excited about it. Halloween's coming up, so you'll start seeing all the Halloween decorations in the stores here in the next 2 weeks. You'll always have those costumes for the kids, your Navy SEAL costume and your Army Ranger costume and everything like that. And obviously, nothing like what the actual operators wear. So that's the thing. You've got to use a suspension of disbelief. If you're going to an Army Navy store and you're actually getting real uniforms, real unit patches, real insignia, and everything like that, okay, fine, cool. That's your thing. Once you start using it for personal gain, that's where I have the problem. That's where I draw the line.
I would say if the character requires that certain insignia and certain unit patch, okay.
Yeah.
But if the character doesn't, I would rather you go with a fake unit patch that doesn't even exist. Because
Which most of them do.
yeah, and that's 100% the truth too. But just as a, you know,
Mhm.
for warning and saying, hey, this, because another thing that kind of takes me off in terms of this subject is when I hear people go, "Look at all the cool shit I bought," ha 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 ha, ha. And I'm like, play a little lighter, man, because people have
Yeah.
died in that uniform. In
Yeah.
fact, someone may have died in the uniform you're wearing, and they decided to restitch it up and repurpose it to resell. So be careful what you say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry.
It's one of those questions where it's like this is like one of those obvious things that brings Geek Boots military nerds into light and what we're here for, but there's
Yeah.
so much debate involved with it too.
Oh, it's one of those things. Okay, used uniforms. Even that, it's like, okay, cool. It takes me back to Kuwait when I'm going through gear issue, and they give me my plates. Okay, cool. Here's your vest. No, I'm not taking that. Why? Because it's soaked in blood. No, I'm sorry. I'm not going to take that vest. I'll take another one. Find another one, and that's. Well, no,
Right.
this is no. I'm not going to take it. I
I've
don't know
had
what happened.
moments
I don't know if that's like the last dude that wore it, or if he rescued somebody.
Um,
No.
yeah, for, just to play on a dark sense of humor, we call it CIF in the Army.
Yeah.
And if there's any, they're very strict when you turn it in. So when you receive it, you're not given much of a chance to give it a look over and
No.
make sure that it's clean, because let's say you never fucking use this article that they've given you, and then you turn it in and they look at it and they say, sorry, there's this grievance on it, and you're like, you gave it to me this way. I don't know what the fuck you want from me. Like,
Yeah.
what the shit? So that's why sometimes when I look at it, I go, no, 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 no. Can you give me another one?
Yeah.
There's like, I don't even know what kind of stain there is right here, but
Yeah.
I'm not accepting this. Well, it's
Yeah.
the only one we have in stock right now. And then I fucking turn around. There's this giant, like 20-foot rack full of the
Yeah.
gear, and I go, bullshit, you
Still in
don't.
plastic.
Still
in
in
vacuum
plastic,
plastic.
right?
Yeah.
But of course, my life is not worth that
No.
uniform.
No.
So,
Gotta save the new stuff for the O's.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Gotta save it for the officers, right? They gotta look nice when they're not doing anything.
Oh, that reminds me. I gotta send you this article. I don't know if you saw the Duffel Blog article about the the Navy SEAL trial. Did you see that?
Not yet, no.
Okay. So there was a Navy SEAL that was on trial for killing a captive. And he was recently released and everything like that. But the prosecuting officers for the General Courts Martial were given Navy Achievement Medals for the work that they had done. But they were rescinded after the fact because it was like, the Duffel Blog article goes on to say that officers all over the place are now worried that their Bronze Stars are going to be taken away and their their CIBs are going to be taken away for just sitting on a fob when a mortar round hits, or handing out gear in country where there's rounds downrange, but they're nowhere near it. So,
Oh man.
I'll send you that article. But
Too
yeah,
worried
that's
about my medal, and not worried about the fact that I care about my people next to me. But it's whatever.
Hey. But it's enough of a quote unquote truth in the military that people are writing articles about it.
Yeah,
So.
right. And also for those of you who aren't military, text is not easily read in tone.
No.
So just because you find an article or a blog that posts something about the military, don't take it seriously, because it could very well have been written by someone in the military as pure unadulterated sarcasm.
And that's, I will say this, Duffel Blog is one of those websites. It's basically the Onion for military.
Yeah.
All it is a intentional tongue-in-cheek fake news website. They take real headlines and then twist them to the military and make them entertaining.
Like my favorite one from Duffel actually was U.S. Army to drop the U.S. from the name over past links to slavery.
Yes.
And I'm just like, what the fuck? Okay. Oh god, Duffel.
That was when the whole Betsy Ross flag was
right.
Yeah.
Which by the way, I got myself a T-shirt through 9line to support the Betsy Ross flag. Not to get too much into politics right here, but I would just like to.
It's a very political show.
Yeah, If you're gonna sit there, to me, veteran, and tell me that the Betsy Ross flag is racist because Colin Kaepernick says so, I might be inclined to take the Betsy Ross flag and strangle you with it.
Let's not do that. That's taking a little bit far.
It'll be fun.
Let's just give them an educational lesson in history.
Right. So, Betsy Ross, she was a Quake, which is the start of the abolitionists.
Yes.
And to have anybody sit there and tell me, well, she was hired by people who were racists, just because they owned slaves didn't mean they were racists. It was just kind of the thing to do. And most of the people who fought in the Revolutionary War didn't even have slaves. On top of that, another fun fact that nobody talks about, and it's my favorite historical fact about George Washington. George Washington personally went to slaves and said, if you fight for me, not only will I free you of your slavery, well, I will then wash you of all slavery for your family. So bloodlines for some of these slaves were washed of slavery for years. So George Washington did not give a rat's ass if you were black or what have you. He looked at these people and said, I need soldiers.
I need
And
people.
I know the right thing to do, so why don't I just make it really easy and say, hey, if you fight for me, this is what I want to represent as a country. Come fight for me and uphold these values. So it was fucking awesome. Yeah, so I am definitely one of those types of people who will probably run in, grab the American flag from being burned, and save it. Yes, I understand that it's your First Amendment right to do so, but I still love the flag and I'm probably going to save it. Just a heads up.
Yeah, it's my First Amendment right to
Save it. Yeah, exactly. Um, here's a good one, but this one's towards the military.
Okay.
What advice would you give the military community about cosplay and conventions?
Go have fun.
Why did I do this to myself? Take the almost common sense that we all have in terms of talking to civilians. We all already know that our sense of humor is different. It's dark and it's twisted, and it's been said in this podcast so many times before. Our sense of humor is a distraction and coping mechanism, so we're not diving into alcoholism. We're not diving into drugs as he drinks a sip of or the biggest
I'm
one of
nursing this beer, by the way.
yeah, by the way. Or the biggest one of all, suicide, which by the way, 22 members in the military commit suicide a day. So so it's one of those things where to the civilians, keep in mind, just because someone has a dark sense of humor doesn't mean that also represents their serious side. It's this thing called separating reality and humor. I don't know. You should try it sometime. Anyway, no, our jokes are horrible because they help us break free. Like, what do you call a soldier who's lost his legs in combat? Medical discharge. That's it. Nothing else. Just medically discharged. What do you call a soldier who's in combat and his wife cheats on him while he's overseas? A suicide risk.
I wouldn't
What do you
say that.
what do you call a convoy that gets ambushed? A funeral procession.
Perception. Yeah.
Yep. What does America call its most beloved veterans? Homeless. So these are the jokes that.
Hey, what's the you keep going with veterans and army? I mean, what's the one ship in the United States Navy that has water cool handrails? Arizona.
Jesus Christ.
You're gonna go with dark humor. You're gonna go with dark humor.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. We have these things so that way the things that we have to deal with, the things that we have to see, that we have to see, interpret, and then try and relate to as now being part of ourselves.
Yeah.
We have to have a way. We have to have a release. There has to be something that lets it out in a safe and maybe not socially acceptable,
Right.
but a safe manner, so that we can cope with it.
Yeah. And that brings it into the point, socially acceptable. So my comment to veterans everywhere is civilians don't get it. I'm sorry, it's the truth. It's 100% the truth. And if the civilians get butthurt when I say this, maybe you should self-reflect. You don't understand. You don't know what it's like to be us. So, with that being said, because they don't understand your humor, my advice is just get to know the civilian, be slow with it, take your time with it, and ease into letting the humor and what it is that you are out. Because right now we're living in a society, especially on like social media, where we feel the need to attack people who are different from us. And if you don't want to be attacked because they're not taking the time to actually understand you, take the time and make sure they will understand you and you will understand them. So just be cautious, I guess, is just be cautious with it. Um, Share your equal passion with something, whatever's going on, so that they can feel more connected with you too. Like that could be
Yes.
that bridge. Like, oh, I love this too. Oh, you do? Yeah. Oh, what do you do for a living? Well, I just got out of the military. That's obviously how conversation's gonna start. But bridge that gap by saying, yeah, I love this too. Anyway, that would be my two pieces of advice to the military community, because you know,
I'm
civilian.
I'm going to respectfully disagree with you on some of those points. Um, yes, where I agree that most civilians, most, not all, not 100%, not all, most civilians cannot relate to what we have been through.
Mhm.
There are some that can. Uh, and I have found in my travels throughout this great nation of ours, going to cons, going to events, everything like that, there are people that share our sense of humor,
Yeah, that's true.
often for the similar reasons that they're having to deal with some sort of trauma or something like that, and um, they have that mentality. Some people shut down. Some people cannot process the sense of humor. I've found that if I can make a joke about something, um, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to, in a civilian situation, I'm going to question whether I'm going to say it.
Yeah.
Um, Now, not because it's racist or homophobic or anything like that. It's just insensitive on a lot of things that can be said.
You sensitive? What?
It happens. Um, so no, actually, yeah, I'm like, we'll
Yeah.
talk about that later.
No, you're right. Another one to add on to that though is just an upbringing too.
Yeah,
Like, so I've never deployed in combat, but I have the utmost respect for people in combat, and a lot of my personality and a lot of jokes I got from it's not only become because of the stress of being a cook, but the soldiers I was around 24/7 who had deployed. It rubbed off basically.
yeah.
So, but I mean, my dad. Well, no, my dad would be a horrible example. He served too. Shit. Who's got a really bad sense of humor that I know? Like, but
Why don't you
some
look at somebody sitting next to you on the couch? I don't know.
that's true. Yeah, no, that's true. My girlfriend's horrible. Um,
No, she's
you
not
know,
horrible. She just has that horrible sense of humor,
yeah,
and she
exactly. No,
understands it.
she's a beautiful
She's a
human
wonderful person.
being, but she's going to hell. Um,
I already told you, I've got my bus license, dude. I'm driving.
um, so yeah, it's I guess in that regard, you know, you can be cautious or you can do as Wayne's World taught us. You know, if you're gonna spew, then spew. If if she's meant to be, she's gonna stick around. If she's gonna bolt, it was never meant to be, kind of thing. If you're gonna tell your joke and they're not gonna like you, move on with your life. They're not
Yeah,
worth it.
yeah.
Um, but if you're trying really hard to make friends, then just kind of ease into it, I guess. So both, I'd say both are pretty solid. Just
Fuck it. Let your freak flag fly. I mean, you're gonna attract the people that are gonna want to be around you, and those are the people that you're gonna want around you.
yeah,
If you have to tiptoe around people, to
they're
have
not
them be
worth.
your friends, you're gonna be tiptoeing the rest of your life. It's not worth it. That is an additional stressor you do not need.
All right, lessons learned. Fuck it. Zip your pants down and let your freak flag fly. Oh wait, no, not that flag. Sorry. Welcome to a military podcast.
Green weenie strikes again.
Yeah. God, I was watching this great He-Man clip from was Gish what the fuck is it called? I have to look it up real fast. I have to. Because if I don't, I'm gonna fucking lose my marbles. Basically, Skeletor decides to defeat He-Man by jerking off into his oats, his breakfast oats. And it's just
Oh,
fucking
very nice.
hilarious. It's so fucking hilarious. Where they're finally all doing it, and Beast Man or whatever, He Beast or whatever, Beast, yeah, whatever. He's jerking him
Beastman.
and he and Cyclops off at the same time, and
Oh.
and to get into it, he's like, all of a sudden He-Man shows up, and he just goes, "Fuck shit, put your dicks away." My oats! Everybody run! He goes, Skeletor, I'll get you for this! And Skeletor takes the oats and throws it at He-Man's chest. And just, it's so fucking great. At the end of the video, it says, YouTube, please don't demonetize us, thanks. Good old Flash Kids.
Yep.
Alright, final question of the night. What advice would you give to civilians about how to approach and engage in conversation about the military life and their time in?
Ooh,
Ooh, that is
that's a that's a
this is
loaded question.
a loaded question, but arguably the best question. So,
Yes.
um, I I kind of revert back to a video a long time ago. I'm gonna look up the wordage for it,
Verbiage.
the verbiage, the wordage, whatever you want to call it. Because I had posted something similar in my story. I have to
Can I say something while you're looking that up, though?
yeah, go for it, please
All
do.
right. Um, I want to put a caveat on this question. There's a lot of people out there that do not agree with any of the political powers that are in office right now, the
Sure.
political powers that were in office before, or the political powers that were in. Please, if you're talking to an individual service member, you are not talking to somebody that dictates policy. You're not talking to somebody that makes the rules. You are talking to somebody that has volunteered to basically, and if called upon, give their life in service to our country. I would ask that if you're talking to somebody that's in the military or prior military, respect that fact that you're talking to an individual, not a policymaker. They are not the politician. So please thank them for their service. If you lead with a thank you for your service, whether or not you agree with the state of the country or the policies or anything like that, this is somebody that they volunteered. They wanted to help. They wanted to make a change. Whether or not they made the change that you wanted, sorry, we can't control that. But if you start a conversation with thank you for your service, do you have a few minutes? I'd like to chat. Maybe they'll say yes, maybe they'll say no.
Yeah.
But you will get a lot farther with sugar than you will with vinegar.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you start off by saying, you know what, I may not agree with the politics, but I appreciate the fact that you did the job.
Yeah.
So
So this was my version of it. It's reworded off of Evan Hafer from Black Rifle Coffee, who had an original one. I'll probably post it again eventually because it's such a great speech. But this was mine towards Geek Boots and everything we do. My goal is to bring veterans within the Comic-Con community or geek and nerd culture and bring them together. I believe they're underappreciated, undervalued, and no one cares about them. They get forgotten. So this is going to sound super politically incorrect, but I think that's what people want. They don't want to face the truth or admit the guilt that we're sending 18, 20-year-old men and women in harm's way every day by choice. These people often come back physically or mentally broken. The average American citizen is scared to have an open and candid conversation with someone who has served. So I've decided enough is enough. I'm making it my responsibility to bridge the gap, help them communicate and understand each other, to not judge too fast or be afraid. I just want to create a tribe. That's what I'm trying to do. We can all laugh over the same videos in the podcast, talk about things we can geek over, reinforce the same value structure, and help one another out. Community is an overused word and an overused term right now. I'm treating this more like family. I'm just trying to make people laugh and geek out over something in pop culture and attract a bunch of people that want to do the same. Um, his speech is so beautiful. And most of the beginning is where it aligns with his, and I kind of feel like I feel with it. I don't know if he's right or wrong because I can't speak for the civilian side, but there is this kind of vibe with it where civilians kind of don't. It's almost like they don't know what to say, whether out of fear or they don't care. I've experienced my fair share of certain things that I won't get into when it comes down to politics, but that there's some degree of truth that comes to this, and I have to say I agree. If you're going to talk to a service member, start with thank you for your service when you find out they've served, and then I would say ask them where they've been. Let that be the next question, because if they say Afghanistan or Iraq and they've done some real time, then you yourself can determine on how you want to proceed. But don't ask the stupid questions like kill
How many people
anybody?
have you killed?
How many people have you killed? Do you see any action? Do you do any cool stuff over there? Um, Kind of to reference the movie Thank You for Your Service, which is by the way a fantastic movie. They're like the first kind of set of guys that's not special forces that are in the Middle East, and the guy's in a cab, and the cab driver goes, "You you put some rounds in some people, you do some heroic stuff, you put some boots on the ground and stuff, and like that." And the soldier just kind of goes, "Yeah, yeah, man, something like that." Like, there's a lot of veterans who try and pull sarcasm off with it. Like, they'll pull the joke of, like a maybe and then look away, or they'll just stare at you and sip a cup of whiskey and just like look into your soul like you
Hmm?
should know the answer, things like that. But then there's other veterans who are just like, dude, for real, that's the first question that comes off your fucking mouth, like seriously. Or oh, and don't confuse the military with video games. We do not keep track of how many people we have to be in combat with and end up killing. It's not like we're keeping our kill death ratio, which doesn't even exist, because that would insinuate that I've died and come back. So just FYI. But just, yeah, be gentle with it. I would say, on top of everything else, make the veteran feel like you care, like they matter, because that's what's really important. It's a conversation to grow yourself and make them feel like someone gives a shit, because even though there's a lot of charities out there, or you I'll just throw this one out there. So the month of May, I as a veteran had no idea. My dad as a veteran had no idea. The whole month of May is supposed to be Military Appreciation Month. I had no idea. And as far as I'm concerned, if the reason why we do this is because of Memorial Day, then I respectfully say that if the month of May is for the military appreciation, it's for those that have fallen. Not for me. Not active. Not alive. Not for me. Um, it's there's certain things where I feel like to a certain extent we're getting attention, sure, but I still feel like we're getting swept under the rug and like nobody cares. And I think that kind of goes hand in hand with a lot of people sometimes feel that way. And again, I stress sometimes, some veterans feel different, but make a veteran feel like they matter. Say, say thank you for your service. And if you don't like the military because of your politics, my advice to you 110%, so that you don't make somebody feel like a piece of shit, don't do one of those things, because I've experienced this in Seattle, where you look at them, roll your eyes, and try and walk past them. or look at them and then firm your brows like, God, I fucking hate you. You know, don't do that. Don't look at them like, you know, you obviously don't like the military. We get it. You don't like the military. Please just move on. The military is like this thing where we're borderline that joke. Um, an atheist and a vegan walk into a bar. I only know because they told everybody within 2 seconds of walking into the room. We borderline on that where it's like we want to talk about the fact that we're military, but more often than not, we don't always. A, we think nobody understands. B, we think nobody cares. Or C, we don't want to sound pretentious. So oftentimes it's kind of nice having someone make you feel like you matter, and that, you know, unlike Vietnam veterans, bless them all, we didn't go overseas, do whatever it is we did, and come back and feel like we're shit.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Couldn't agree more. Make them feel like they matter. Ask them appropriate questions. For the love of God, don't ask them their kill death ratio.
I honestly just treat them as a human being.
Yeah,
That's
they're
seriously. There's I mean with all the clamor and all everybody getting up in arms about equal rights, and I am a very, very big proponent of this. Hey, guess what? So we made a choice to serve our country. You may not agree with our choice. You may not agree with the way the country is heading, everything like that. Guess what? Still a human being.
yeah, we're all still human, and
Still a person.
you know, just to I want to wrap this up on this podcast with just an hour and just say one thing as a veteran. So I'm seeing a lot of interesting movements in terms of politics and in terms of life where people are like trying to move one way or another. People, like you said, people are people. We're human beings. We have feelings. We shouldn't be put into a narrative. We shouldn't be forced into a narrative just because we're this or that. If someone believes in something differently, don't treat them like shit for it. You know?
Yeah.
I didn't serve. I served my country. Before I served, I was conservative, and then when I was in the military, I learned real fast. Instead of going liberal, I went independent with my vote. You know, when I decide to vote, I look at everybody on the ballot, look at what they're saying. I don't really give a fuck if they're Republican or Democrat. I vote for them because I like what they're saying.
Right.
And that's how people should do it. But ultimately, again, treat people the way you want to be treated.
Yeah.
So
the golden rule. Oh my
yeah,
goodness.
the golden rule. Yeah. So honestly, if you're gonna come at me a mile a minute and say that because I fit certain narratives, I have to be this or that, then I'm gonna do the same to you. But don't be a hypocrite and don't sit there and say, no, don't do that to me when you just did it to me. So this has been a really good
before you wrap up,
yes.
I have a favor to ask of our listeners.
Yes.
Okay. So everybody has seen the painting that's behind me.
Yes.
They've seen it move, everything like that. That
Yeah.
wonderful beach scene. All right? That one right there.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, small story behind this. When I moved into this apartment, I didn't have any artwork or anything like that, and I have very large, spacious walls. So I needed something to cover the wall. I found this painting literally at the dumpster. Somebody was moving out, not the people in this apartment, but somebody else was moving from one of the other apartments in the complex, and it was slid back behind the dumpster. So it wasn't actually in the dumpster, so it was back behind it. So I grabbed it, cleaned it up, hung it on the wall. What I'm looking for is somebody to take this, preferably in the Southern California area. Anybody that's artistically inclined, I want them to paint Scarif troopers on my beach like they're assaulting the beach.
So when Ruby Echo and I come over, we don't do stick figures and Sharpie on it?
Please no. I've already looked, and I cannot find Scarif Trooper stickers, like vinyl die cut stickers. I can't find them anywhere, so I'm looking for somebody to paint.
Okay.
I want I want people assaulting this goddamn beach,
So what we're
and
gonna do then?
I want beach troopers.
What we're gonna do then? We're gonna pool our money together. Everyone pool their money together to help you out. LK Designs, the man behind the big green weenie design and our new logo.
Uh-huh.
We'll get him to illustrate those soldiers. We'll send it to a sticker company and we'll fucking put them on there. Make it happen.
All right.
This has been a very exciting episode with answering your guys' questions. If there's ever another moment, I think we should do this again. Just the two of us, for the boys.
Oh, I think we missed a golden opportunity tonight not talking about it.
Yeah.
But I've enjoyed answering the questions.
Yes.
We've getting a little bit into the politics of stuff, but being able to keep it lighthearted is always
politics. Because whether it's because of social media or because the world around us is becoming so very politically driven, politics ends up happening in cosplay.
Oh God, yes.
So, in all honesty, it's not like it's far-fetched. So, yeah, we love answering questions. Don't hesitate to ask us anything. Honestly,
yes.
Like so as we try to keep on doing with every one of these episodes, we fully intend on being at Emerald City Comic Con. We intend to do a panel. I have emailed Emerald City Comic Con. I'm waiting to get information back.
WonderCon.
Yep. I do know that I got an email back from them saying that they've received my email. They are happy that I am interested in a panel, but will get to me later on. So that's fun. And of course, WonderCon. Now, WonderCon is really huge because I know so many veterans are going to be there. Please, everybody, if you're listening to this, let's take Portraits and Cosplay's initial gatherings and make it bigger. Let's really show the world what the veteran cosplay community can do.
Also, another thing that you can do is you can actually write to WonderCon. You can message them, get on the website, and they have a link for people you want to see at the con and everything like that. Most cons do this. For if they want talent brought to the con, tell them you want Geek Boots Military Nerds to have a panel. It doesn't cost them anything for a room for an hour, for 40 minutes. So get on the horn. If you want to see us at an event, let that event know. We gotta start, and I'm gonna throw this out there. We gotta start looking at Soldier Con, because that is not only a comic convention, it's a car show. So I mean, that's kind of badass in itself.
It's really great because majority of the people that are posted on their Instagram page, by the way, give them a follow.
Yes.
To support the troops. Most of the people on their page are also veterans and military service members. So it's really awesome. I haven't talked to them in a while, but when I told them what I'm doing, they fucking love me. They hit follow. They hit me up with a bunch of likes. So when there's an opportunity and Geek Boots can really do more traveling, 110% we're going to go to SoldierCon and we're going to represent SoldierCon.
Oh yeah.
So that's going to be fucking awesome. Otherwise, we'll get SoldierCon to come to us.
Woohoo!
So there's that. Get ready, everybody, because so again, we are recording this episode on Thursday, 8/1/2019. My countdown from henceforth says, as it loads, 1 month, 10 days, 4 hours, 8 minutes, and 47 seconds. I will be heading over with my beloved girlfriend to California, and we will be doing a photo shoot for Geek Boots so that we can sell prints to you guys with Captain America and Wonder Woman. Yeah, we have a lot of people. It looks like it's going to be a big event, and a big shout out because I've been kind of talking a little bit to Raucous and Armored Heart Cosplay to do some fun with them, maybe do some dinner with them, hang out with them. So that's going to be fun too. Anyway, much love. This episode's been a lot of fun. Check us out on all of our social media. And make sure to if you like what we're doing, haha, I love this part. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hit us up on Podbean, creating an account and do it there. Because if you don't have YouTube Red, Podbean allows you to play these episodes and shut your phone off for free. So hit us up on Podbean. Check us out on Facebook. We post memes, we post funny stuff, we repost blogs and articles. Check us out on Instagram where we share veterans and expand our veteran community in the cosplay world.
And soon to come, Twitter.
Soon to come, Twitter. Where I'm managing so many different social media, so I'm trying to get
this
cosplay Jenemy on this. But yeah, but biggest thing of all, tell everyone about us, word of mouth, because we are still somewhat small, and the biggest way to do anything is, hey, have you heard about Geek Boots? It's this really cool thing. So make sure you guys are doing that. We love you guys to death. Thank you for everything you've already given us. And we will see you at Emerald City Comic Con, and we will see you at WonderCon. I'm Tom Cruise. With me is my bearded brother, Single Dad.
What up?
We will see you next week where we talk about video games.
Yes!
It's gonna be fucking awesome. Peace, love, and chicken grease, and a toodles for J4. Much love for J4, who's serving his country right now.
Thanks, brother.
Cosplay Jenemy is in a little bit of pain, not feeling so well, so we love her to death. And Mayan Goddess is doing some con stuff, so we love her to death
On the way
too.
to a con this evening.
Oh yeah. All right. Deuces, everybody.
We love you guys. Deuces.
Motherfucker!